Egmont Colerus von Geldern was an Austrian writer and mathematician. He was born in 1888 in Linz, the son of infantry general Emil Colerus von Geldern and Sophie Rael Hannisch. He spent his youth in Bratislava before moving to study at a gymnasium in Krems an der Donau, and finally getting a doctorate in law in Vienna in 1911. In 1915 he became a secretary to the military court in Vienna. In 1917 he married Blanka Nagy. In 1922 he joined the statistics department, where he would remain until 1938. He died in 1939 in Vienna. Colerus wrote popular works promoting mathematics to the laity, from Pythagoras to Hilbert, from point A to the fourth dimension, as well as novels concerning Leibniz and Pythagoras. Today we will review one of the two novels he published in 1920, Sodom, a novel. Taking place in the mythical city of Sodom, we find the poor orphan Marduk being abused by his stepmother, so much so he denounces her as his mother, for which some of the bystanders want to stone him to death. Wandering the streets and occasionally stealing what he can get his hands on, he follows a procession into the king's garden, where a feast is held to celebrate a crushing victory against some neighbouring town. When he wanders off a bit, he sees drunken soldiers strewn about shooting arrows into bound prisoners for their amusement. But among the latter, he also finds a bound bearded giant, one who he saw as a child in his ruined hometown many years ago, and who promised to meet him again, as he was too small to eat right then, and Marduk decides to unbind him for some reason. We then see Raman the king consider why the people had not come to murder him yet despite all his tyranny. His servant, the castrate Baliadar, tells him of the great mystery of the great holy scourge, spoken of in the oldest of tablets, and of the sacred power it gave to all the kings of Raman's line, since the days when the great fiery eye had left the sky and was seen wandering the earth. Raman's internal confusion is only heightened when they bring him a man to judge who said the city's queen was a literal cow and a castrate. Their intention was to break open his body and strangle him with his own intestines. But the chief priest pardons the man, to Raman's anger and confusion, wishing to get away from the city, where his power is questioned, and wishes to gather the wild people of the hills to overrun the city and kill the priests. So he takes his boat out and goes hunting, only to meet Marduk, who ingratiates himself as his companion, before shooting Raman dead with an arrow. Returning to the city he is proclaimed king, to the great consternation of the priests, the hairy giant cleaving a way for him towards the palace with his giant axe. Pashkirian the bowmaker, who had made Marduk's acquaintance before, retreats to his house when he sees this, but one of the priestesses finds him there and seduces him to obtain his great arrow-flinging machine. When he learns of this, from a mysterious, all-knowing stranger from the east named Sahadeva, he leaves the city forever. The priestess, however, is being forced by the real chief priest of the city, a withered ghoul of a man whom no one had ever seen, to convince the giant whom they call the son of the river god, to kill Marduk and take his throne himself, to fulfill the priest's lifelong goal of absolute power over the city. She tries, under threat of horrible death in the cellars of the great step pyramid, beneath the halls filled with giant bats and horrid deformed monstrous things. But she fails, and then she goes to Marduk, with whom she sleeps, wishing to poison him. And then when she finds out he is her brother, she still keeps laying with him anyway, and neither is that bothered about it. But then when the rising heat tormenting the city becomes most unbearable, the son of the river god does declare himself king, making his earlier hesitation seem pointless. And so after Marduk's sister accidentally murders their father, she betrays him and leads him to the giant who eats Marduk, while the soldier she flees with cuts her throat to suck out all her blood. But Sahadeva returns to the city, unmasks the giant, and leaves to watch the whole city burn, dying on the breast of Pashkirian, who is later reborn as the Buddha. The main problem is so many characters are unnamed, like Marduk's sister, and the plot seems to stop a lot and then have everything happen all at once.